Well, if one is good, then two has to be better. What about 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? What we're talking about today is, can you have multiple Roth IRAs? And even if you can, does it really make sense? We're going to find out what the answer is to that and a whole lot more on the latest Good Financial Sense podcast. This is episode 180. What's going on, GSC fam and Wealth Hacker Nation? It is time to make your life more. It is your always cheerful, always grateful host, Jeff Rose. And today we are doing what I enjoy the most in answering one of your questions. And once again, this is not a specific question, but a question that I get a lot. And even though I am tailoring this question to Roth IRAs, because I know you've heard it again and again and again. I love the Roth IRA, but this also applies to traditional IRAs. So here is the question. But before we even get to that question, if you do have a question and you want to submit that for a future podcast to be answered, you can go to goodfinancialsense.com/ask and you can ask away. Ask any question that you want in regards to investing, financial planning, entrepreneurship, family. I don't even care. It could be shoes, sneakers. You like sneakers? Ask me a question about sneakers. I would be happy to answer that question. Once again, go to goodfinancialsense.com/ask. So this question, once again, tailoring this towards Roth IRAs, but it could easily apply to traditional IRAs. And the question is, can you have multiple Roth IRAs? And the short answer, the simple answer is yes. Yes, you can. And I'm going to give you a specific example in my own situation, how I had multiple Roth IRAs. But to expand upon that question a little bit more is, can you have multiple IRAs? And once again, the short and simple answer is yes. Now, I will have a link in the description or the show notes for any of the content that we are talking about here, because anytime we're doing a podcast, there's always going to be some sort of written content, a blog post to support anything that we are talking about here. So once again, be sure to check the description or the show notes wherever you are listening to this or watching this, and we'll have those links for you. So once again, want to stress, can you have multiple Roth IRAs? Can you have multiple IRAs? The answer is yes. Now, as far as if you are opening up a new Roth IRA, there is something that you need to know. And right now, for those that are watching here on YouTube, I am showing an article that we have of talking about the Roth IRA rules and contribution limits. And right now, if you can see this, you can put in up to $6,000 per year per individual into a Roth IRA if you are under the age of 50. If you're over the age of 50, you are allowed that $1,000 catch-up, so you can put in $7,000. And I did say catch-up. I did not say ketchup.
He's talking to the ketchup now.
I don't know why I felt the need to say that. But yeah, so you can put in $6,000 per year per individual. So that means if you and your spouse combined, if you're under the age of 50, you can put in $12,000. Let's go back to the individual, because I think this is where a lot of people get hung up, and going to bring on a different camera. Let's see if you can actually see it. So as a reminder, you can put in $6,000 per year into a Roth IRA, but that doesn't mean, let's say, for example, that you want to open a Roth IRA with Vanguard, but you also like Fundrise. And maybe while you're at it, you're like, man, I like Vanguard, but also, you've done some videos on M1 Finance. What about M1 Finance? So that doesn't mean that you can put in 6,000 here, 6,000 here, and 6,000 here all in 1 year. You can only combine all three into as 6,000. So that means if you do 2 here, 2 here, and then 2 here, like you can do that. You could do 1 here, 3 here and 2 here. But overall, total, you cannot do $6,000 as a contribution each year. And I think that's usually where people get a little confused, because they know that you can have multiple IRAs. They hear that, but it almost like it doesn't make sense.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
That you can do that, but you can't do this. So yes, if you were just starting fresh, you could have multiple Roth IRAs, but once again, you can't add more than $6,000 into each. So that would be, say, for this tax year, going forward next tax year, you could fund each of these, but you cannot exceed that $6,000 unless the IRS were to increase it next year. But I think you kind of get the idea there. So that is the concept I wanted to address initially. Is it's $6,000 total per person. Now, if you have a spouse, they would have to open up their own Roth IRA at each of these places. You cannot, there is no such thing as a joint Roth IRA. People think, oh, I can do a joint account. Can I do a joint Roth IRA? No.
No, God, please, no, no.
You cannot. That is not a choice. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Now, as far as like having multiple IRAs, how does that work? So just to kind of give you another example, let me go ahead and clear this off. And really just, was exactly what I was doing, just to kind of show you how it looked like. So for me, initially, when I started with my original brokerage firm, I had a 401k through them. And also, in addition to putting money in the 401k, I started my own Roth IRA. Now, I maxed out a few years. I wasn't maxing out the 401k, but I was doing my best to max out the Roth IRA. So then, as I mentioned, I also had this 401k over here, right? So then I left. So I left that company. That's when I ended up starting or co-founding my first investment firm. So now I had this 401k, and then I rolled that over. So then I had a traditional IRA. So that's what that 401k became. So I had a Roth IRA. I also had the traditional IRA. You could also call this a rollover IRA if you wanted. So at that time, I've got 2 IRAs. The Roth, the traditional. Now, at this time, since I had a 401k, I was a W-2 employee. And when I went and co-founded my own investment firm, I went from W-2 employee to a 1099 independent contractor. So that basically meant now I had the ability to set up my own business retirement account. And there were options. I could have set up a 401k. I could have did a SEP IRA. I could have did a simple IRA, a solo 401k. There were a lot of different choices. I didn't have to do anything if I didn't want to. So initially, I ended up setting up a SEP IRA. Now, SEP stands for Simplified Employee Pension. So there, I've got a Roth, a traditional, and then a SEP. Now, I will say eventually I end up converting this from the traditional to a Roth, so I combine those. But at one time, I myself had 3 IRAs. My wife also had a Roth IRA. She also had we'll call it a rollover IRA, because she had a 401k at her job that we rolled over. She was a part of the SEP IRA plan, so we had a SEP IRA account for her as well. So all combined, like, we had 6 IRAs total, and that's just how it works. Now, going back, I'm actually going to clear this real quick. I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole idea of having multiple IRAs, multiple Roth IRAs specifically. So I mentioned I already had a Roth IRA. I had the traditional IRA, which was the old 401k. And as I mentioned, I ended up converting that into a Roth IRA. So I don't remember the total dollar amount, but let's just make up a nice round number. And let's say that it was $100,000 that was inside this Roth. Now, at that time, the Roth was only with one brokerage company. This is when I was with LPL Financial, which was a kind of like a Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley but that's basically who the custodian was. Oh, look out. So that's who the custodian was with. And when I went there, so I've got this money here, right? All in one Roth IRA, and it's all with LPL Financial. Well, let's say, for example, I want to take some of this $100,000 and I want to go some with Fundrise. Maybe I don't like LPL. I want to go to Fidelity. Or maybe it's Vanguard. If I wanted to, I could go and set up Roth IRAs at each of these institutions. Let's say I want to keep some money there. I want to keep 20,000, and then I want to move 40,000 here. I want to move 10,000 here, and then move 30,000 here. So that's still going to give me the grand total of 100,000. But now I've got it set up at 1, 2, 3, 4 different brokerages, essentially. And that definitely adds a layer of complexity now, right? Because now you've got multiple accounts at different places. You're also, and I don't know what they're going to charge here. I mean, each of these places is going to charge you some sort of custodial fee. And that could be anywhere from $40 to $100 per year. Now, they may waive that fee, but generally, in my experience, like, they're going to charge you. It's just another way to generate some fee revenue. So let's just round up. Let's say they're each charging you 50. Well, now, that's 50 there, 50 here, 50 here, and then 50 here. I mean, you're paying $200 a year in IRA custodial fees that could potentially be avoided if you just had it at one. But if you're going to do this, I mean, the only reason why you would ever want to do this is that one of these different investment brokerages has access to a different type of investment that you're not going to get at the other place. For example, if I want to buy a Vanguard ETF and I want to buy that at LPL Financial, and I can buy it through LPL Financial, I'm not going to transfer money out to buy it at Vanguard if I can get it there. Like, that doesn't make sense, right? I get moving it from LPL or moving it from Vanguard to Fundrise, where you're getting access to a different type of real estate investment that you're not getting at one of these other institutions. So that's like one of the situations where it might make sense. But I will say, from personal experience, the more accounts that you have, the more complexity you're adding to your life. And you might not think it's a big deal. And initially it might not be a big deal. But I can tell you from personal experience that having set up accounts at all these different places, I've got a good CPA, I've got personal capital, I've got Mint, I've got all these different tracking tools. I can put them all into one place. It still is another place to keep tabs on. Because right now, with the Roth IRAs, with my 401k, with my investment accounts, with my wife's investment accounts, with my kids' investment accounts, I don't know what throw in some crypto in there as well. I mean, I probably have 20 different accounts, not counting everything we have with our bank. So that can be a lot. And currently in my life, I've been looking to consolidate some of these, but some of them I'm leaving just because, for that sole purpose, is that I can get a certain type of investment from one institution that I cannot get anywhere else. Fundrise is one of those examples. Crypto would be another example, and I can't think of any other examples at the moment. But let's say, for example, there's a mutual fund that you really want to own. Well, if you want to set up a Roth IRA with M1 Finance, they don't offer mutual funds, so you cannot get that mutual fund through them. You'd have to go through a traditional brokerage. You might get it through Fidelity. Most likely might be like an E-Trade or a TD Ameritrade as an example. So that's why you would want to set up multiple Roth IRAs. So kind of sum all this up. Can you have multiple Roth IRAs? You can. You cannot over contribute. So you're capped off at $6,000. Once again, if you're under the age of 50, if you're over the age of 50, you can do up to $7,000 per year. And then if you want to then separate it and open up other Roth IRA accounts with different providers, that is also an option. So that is what you can do. Hopefully this answers your question. Hopefully this doesn't make it more complex. The short answer is yes, that you can. But before you proceed, I would highly encourage you, go talk to a CPA, go talk to a financial professional, a certified financial planner that knows what they are doing, so they can help you make sense if this is really what's in the best interest for you. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Until next time, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Until next time, peace.